So we're out here at our Timeless Beauty project, and this is actually a major renovation. And how do we decide as a builder which renovations or remodels are ones that are fit for us, are good for our client? And as a builder, how should you strategize as far as remodels you should be chasing or the business development, for the ideal client and how that works for your business? So now as we're standing out here at our Timeless Beauty project, this is a renovation. Right now in our portfolio, we have 14 projects underground, 2 of which are full renovation remodels and 12 are new builds. Now, this is really important to understand, your scope of work as a builder. And the reason I say that is because for us, we do both commercial and residential, primarily new build, but on occasion we'll do remodels. And what's really important, we get a lot of leads, as I'm sure many of you do, from being on social media channels, whether it be House, Instagram, LinkedIn, that clients will reach out. And truth be told, right, this is a big question. It's like, Brad, how did you get your start? So before I answer the remodel renovation project and how that fits in our scope of work, is that as a builder, I had the experience working for another company, and I talked about this in my story previously on our YouTube channel. You can go back and find that. But a big part of that was when you start your company, you have to build a resume, right? I had done amazing projects in town, not under my company, not under my umbrella, and so now you're starting fresh, right? You're getting these job leads, you're working on business development. And so at that time, because we were self-performing a lot more, we were doing the bathroom, we were doing the kitchen, these small remodels, building that content, always knowing we'd be building this new construction, new custom homes, which is our specialty, even some commercial projects that we had experience in. But it takes time to get to that point. And now our company's evolved, so early on, it made a lot of sense that we're doing these remodels. And it's not that it doesn't make sense now for us, or that we're too good for our clients to do a renovation or remodel. The reality is, in most cases, for our client, it is best served that they go with a different remodel company. And I'll break that down. As you're looking, and this isn't a base value, for me, I don't look at a job and say, well, if the client's spending $200,000 or $500,000, that's the baseline for us to come in. That's really not the case. It's a case-by-case basis on the complexity of the project. And what I mean is, now the way our business has grown, we're a traditional general contractor. So what that means is, I don't self-perform. I don't do any framing. I don't do any plumbing, any electrical, or any tile. I'm operating as a true general contractor. So what that means is now as we've grown, we have bigger trade partners that have bigger crews, more people. And so for me to go in to do just a kitchen, I'm not building my own cabinetry. I'm not doing my own plumbing and my own electrical. And for just a kitchen, you may need 1 guy, maybe 2 guys to go in and do that work. So it's very difficult for me to schedule my bigger crews to peel someone off to come out and do this remodel when they're focusing on some bigger projects around town. So what that means is if I'm doing a kitchen, it may take me 60 days as opposed to a remodel guy that has all his own employees that can do it in 30. And then the cost, when you think about markup, everything we do is cost plus. But because I don't have my own labor rate or labor burden for my own plumber and my own electrician and my own countertop guy, I'm subbing all this out. So what ends up happening, there becomes a lot of middlemen because there's individual subcontracting companies that are operating, that are doing this work that now I'm marking up for my client. Now, that is really important to understand how we communicate that to the client, as well as those potential leads, that when they're doing a small bathroom or maybe a fireplace or maybe a kitchen, they want to be hiring a remodel company that self-performs. The reason being is that they can stagger them more quickly in most cases, as long as their systems are dialed in. But again, there's not really a middleman, they're self-performing. This project though is a little bit different. This house is 6,000 square feet. This is in Paradise Valley. We took this project down to studs. It was almost, and we're actually adding on. So the footprint's changing, the entire exterior's changing. It's going from this very Tuscanized, I say Tuscanized because we're de-Tuscanizing the house. So this very Tuscan, a lot of curved air, rotundas, and you have bay windows that are a little straight, but these are more like rotunda extensions on the house. And so we're trying to make this a little bit more of a modern build with a traditional flair. And so we had to rebuild the entire exterior. Now, what's really tough for a small remodel company that self-performs, we had to rebuild the entire truss system. The entire roof was rebuilt, right? We're adding on pretty big excavation throughout. We dug out the entire pool. We've backfilled that, we compacted that, we relocated the pool, we redug that. We're reframing the entire house. We're also changing the exterior details, redoing the roof. So for this type of project, I need more than 2 framers, right? I need 20 framers out here rebuilding the entire truss system. And you're gonna see some details in the great room with the transoms. And so the structural steel component that's involved, it's a lot more complex. So this is where I have an advantage because I can put the bigger crew size, economies of scale work in this scenario. And so now as I'm working with my trade partners, this makes sense, right? And so it's not really a dollar value as it is a scope of work, where now I have the upper hand. But if the client was to come in and say, hey Brad, if this was the same house and we're keeping everything the same, we may move a couple interior walls, it's non-structural, may replace the cabinetry and countertops. There are trades that are a better fit or general contractors because they self-perform and they can do that. So it's really important to understand and to be successful as a remodeler. I've spoken with a lot of remodel companies, and to really be successful in that remodel world is to have the right personnel on board and within the company. And the more that you can self-perform as a remodeler, the more that you can do for glass, flooring, paint, trim, that you're self-performing, the more value you have, and financially, the better off you will be, because you'll not only give better bang for the buck to the client, but because you have burden rates, right, as you're calculating the cost of each employee and billing them per hour with the markup for their overhead, that you can actually make more money as a remodeler. It's really hard on smaller jobs to make money if you're operating as a traditional GC such as me, to sub out every single scope of work and then still compete on these smaller jobs. You have to have these bigger economies of scale for those to pencil out. So that's why we do renovations, not always, but we love renovations, especially when they're a little bit more complicated and the scope of work fits what we do best. So thank you for tuning in to our YouTube channel today to explain the value that we bring on the bigger renovations and why every company should really evaluate their operation if they're self-performing or if they're operating like a traditional GC, and that'll help you better find the ideal client and vet those projects that make more sense. So like, comment, subscribe. If there's any questions you want us to address, leave those in the notes below and we will get to that on our next video.